What's up, guys? Today I want to talk to you about three methods that I found that work well for me to stay fully armed while I'm on my jogs that I take in the morning. So, running to me is a fairly new activity, at least in terms of being able to do it multiple times a week. I'm a fairly severe asthmatic with some allergies that make the combination of those two, they make running pretty miserable. Uh, Difficult enough where that would it would take me out of commission for multiple days after pushing it too hard on a run. But in years of grinding to be in better health, I'm finally at a spot where I can go for a few runs a week, maybe 2 to 4 runs a week, something like 2 to 8 miles each, and actually manage to find baseline and not overexert myself and trigger some nasty health side effects. So I've been doing the every other day ish runs for several months now, and I've been working through some methods to stay fully armed while doing that. Now, when I first started this, I just immediately went to the forums to listen to you gun guys and how you manage to carry while you're on your runs. And the majority of you tell me that you just don't. When you go on a run, you have maybe your phone and your headphones, and you don't really worry about being armed because you're already running, and you can just continue to run away from any issue that you may run into. Fair enough, guys. But that answer, it doesn't jive with my personal beliefs, where I try as hard as possible to be armed in my waking hours. So I looked at a few of your other responses on what you guys are using, and I've tried most of them. So this is a video of the three that have worked really well for me, with a fourth armed-ish variant that I'll talk about right now. Many of you who said you don't run with anything said that maybe occasionally you will run with one of these. So I think that's actually a pretty good option. Very lightweight, and it's comfortable in the hand. This is just a palm pepper spray unit. You run with some pepper spray in your hand, and that gives you some option for self-defense while you're out. I think that's better than nothing. So yeah, props to you guys who put that out there. And I'll tell you that I have done about a week's worth of runs with just this, and it is incredibly comfortable. It is. But I would like to have more. I would like to have the capabilities that having a firearm affords. So that's what we're going to talk about for the three options. So option number one was is my standard EDC go-to at this point. Glock 43X with 15 round mag in there. I'm still running the shield mags, and they're running fine for me. In a Filster Enigma Express. Now there are some pros and cons to this setup. One pro is that this is the gun that I train with the most right now, so I'm very comfortable in using it. This is the carry method that I train with the most, so again, I'm very comfortable in my capability with this setup. And it is generally pretty comfortable for moderate activity. I say moderate, not high level activity. And here's why. I can run with this in my normal deep carry setup. I can do about a 2 mile jog at something like, 10, 11 minute miles in this, and it's just fine. If it's that shorter duration with not a crazy pace, this is fine. But I noticed that when I wear this in a normal, normal kind of shorts that I would carry this in daily life, well, I'm wearing boxers behind this and shorts in front of this, and uh, that does pretty okay at mitigating any chafing from the bounce that will inevitably occur while I'm running. Problem is, when I go for longer jogs or when I go for more intense runs, I typically don't want to wear boxers, which means that this is going to have to ride directly against the skin, and without underwear, this becomes a chafing issue. Even with underwear, if I'm running the longer runs, I find that I am going to get pretty soaked with sweat. Everything is going to get soaked through, and I'm still going to get some chafing and some hot spots when I wear this. And this goes for deep carry. This also goes for traditional appendix carry. With a rig like this, I can do it, but those longer runs, guys, everything that touches your skin gets kind of tender when I am doing more than 5 miles at the higher intensity runs that I do. So this is great for a short casual jog, but for the longer jogs, I actually do feel the weight of this, even with this being a lighter weight micro pistol. And I do feel some of the chafing even when this is set up perfectly for me. So yeah, pros and cons to that. To eliminate the chafing, but to still keep the same capability, um, I have another option that I use with the 43X, and that is this guy. This is the Burlastock Bando XL. This is my dad bag. It has full blowout kit and some treats for the kids and just all of the daily stuff that I need for being a homeschool dad. I won't empty this out to go for a run. So all the stuff that's in there is going to stay in there. I'm not dedicated enough to make a pile of crap and then resort it back into the various pouches in this bag. Which means that when I run with this, with the 43X inside of it, it's about a 4-pound bag that I'm carrying on me. So the pros of that are it's no longer a gun directly against the skin, and I typically carry this. This bag is actually set up to ride a little higher than my iliacs. So I'm cinching this down just above my belly button. So it's kind of sitting mid-belly on me, and that is the most comfortable spot that I've found. I can cinch that nice and tight so that those 4 pounds aren't bouncing around. I can alternate where the pack is riding up front or in back to kind of even out and lengthen the times between getting the hot spots and the chafing that will inevitably occur with anything strapped around my waist. And it works okay. This is a fairly decent carry. Now pros are the added comfort there. I can go to the lighter weight shorts with the built-in liner and get away from having to have dedicated underwear. And yeah, comfort is a plus, and having all of my extra stuff can be a plus. The downside is I've noticed on the longer runs that I do, so 5-8 mile runs, I start to notice the fatigue, the pain that comes from wearing this much weight and just having it bounce and pull on my back. I can feel it in my back and in my hips, just that little bit of weight. I'm sure that I could train out of that. I'm sure that I could just be tougher, but it is a discomfort for those longer runs. Also, defensive capability. Access to the gun that's in here is, well, it's the slowest access out of the methods that I'm gonna talk about today. Fanny pack access, a solid, fast fanny pack draw is like a 2-second affair, but most people cannot manage that. I think most people are really pressing their luck when they try and get below 2.5 seconds on the draw. So yeah, pros and cons with this. So I will use this sometimes, but for those longer runs, for those more intense runs, higher pace runs or faster runs, I want as little as possible. So the last option that I'll talk about is the most minimalist option. It is the most comfortable option for jogging armed. And that's this guy right here. Old school classic. You guys know that I love this little gun. This is the LCR 22. It's 22 LR, 8 rounds. And it has the Hammer Forge hook grips. So there is no holster with this. I will run exactly in this outfit as I'm sitting here today. Um, a lot of times when I'm running, this is 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. It is still very pitch black out, and I don't worry about being spotted carrying. I will run with this, like so, with the Hammer Forge hook engaged over the pant line. I will bring the shorts up a bit and cinch that drawstring down. I'll run like this, and it stays just right there with the drawstring hooked over my iliac, so riding high, and that keeps the muzzle, the entire gun, out of the crease between my thigh and my belly. So there's really no chafing there. The gun is so light that even when I'm running a very jolty, uncoordinated pace that I happen to have when I try and push it, the gun isn't heavy enough to really bounce around with sufficient pressure on that drawstring. So very minimal chafing, even though that gun is directly to my skin. And I find that it is so much less to carry. I don't get the same aches and pains and hot spots that I get with the other two options. So pros are that is the most comfortable and the most effortless method to carry whether I want to go on a jog. If I wake up in the morning, all I have to do is throw shorts on and then grab the LCR 22 out of the safe, tuck it directly in the waistband, and I'm good to go. And I've logged many 5-8 mile jogs at something like 11-minute paces, many of them with this setup, and I have never had an issue of this gun working its way up out of the waistband. It really it finds its little groove. It sits right there for the entire run. As soon as I break a sweat, my skin gets a little bit clammy, and it actually binds the gun to my skin even more. So I'm happy with that. Now, I know some of you are going to be hesitant about carrying any gun without a holster, but I want to remind you guys the LCR 22 is probably the most ideal gun to run with an open trigger guard that exists. It is a very, very long trigger, maybe the longest double action trigger that is out there, but certainly the longest double action trigger that I have ever shot. And it's also a 15-pound trigger press. So the odds that anything is gonna actually be able to sweep that trigger to the rear are low, even if the gun is out in my hand. But remember, it's also a revolver. So that is a 15-pound trigger press if the cylinder is allowed to spin freely, which it isn't when it's pressed against my skin. So all of the pressure that it takes to drag the cylinder, against my belly and rotate it, each pound of pressure more that takes is added directly to that 15 pounds. I would guess that with the tension that I put across the drawstring, pressing that gun into my belly, plus the 15-pound trigger press that already is there, we're talking somewhere around a 35-pound trigger press to get that to actually rotate the cylinder and fire. And I would guess that I am more likely to break the internal components of the gun than to press that shot off and actually have the gun discharge in my waistband. So there it is, guys. 3 different methods that have worked well, all with their pros and cons, but all 3 of them have their place in my runner's carry setup. The only other thing that I'm really carrying on these runs is this guy, my near dumb phone. This is the Unihertz Atom. It's an older phone, guys, but yeah, this is about a third the weight of the smallest iPhone, about a third the size of the smallest iPhone. Runs a very outdated operating system, so Android 9 on this, but very minimalist, ideal for my jogs, especially when I'm doing these when I want as little as possible on my body. So there it is, guys. Let me know in the comments if you like these carry methods, if you've tried them yourself. If you're doing something different, I'd love to hear about it. Yeah, thanks for watching. Keep training, stay safe.